What up, motherfuckers? I'm back again, bitches. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the AEW roster. I feel like it's been a while since we've made fun of these motherfuckers. And, you know, some things have been changed around. Opinions have gone up. Opinions have gone down. Some wrestlers have moved up the ranking of the hater. And some have gone even further down, if that were even possible. You know what I mean? But more importantly than all that, change has happened, motherfuckers. Change. And that's why we're going to do the video. Now, before we start, I woke up this morning and one of the first thoughts I had this morning was how the New Day is complete shit. You know what I'm saying? I think that merits its own video eventually. But the reason I thought this was because I thought to myself, if the New Day were around in, let's say, 1999, right? Imagine them being heels, or even faces, honestly, and coming out and having a program with The Rock. Like, just imagine the kind of things The Rock would say to them to completely emasculate them, you know what I mean? First of all, he would make fun of Big E's goofy-ass appearance, you know what I mean? Big E, I don't even understand this guy sometimes, man. Like, his titties bounce up and down, you know, like, I don't even understand, like, if he's got, like, man boobs, I don't even know what the deal is with that guy. He's got the hairline of, like Morgan Freeman, you know what I mean? And except he's, like, 28 or something. You know, this guy just looks like a goof, right? Kofi Kingston, he's just whack. Like, he's like one of the least cool people possibly ever in wrestling, you know what I mean? Now he's got the blonde hair, he thinks it's cool, I guess. It's fucking weird as shit if you ask your boy, you know? Then we have Xavier Woods, who's obviously, like, in my opinion, like right now, the best one out of all three of them in terms of, like, personality, right? Except he's a fucking nerd. You know, look back at my nerd video, you know? All these, like, video game references. He's, like, friends with Kenny Omega. It's that kind of horse shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, these people are like, partly to blame for the state of wrestling, if not fully to blame for the state of wrestling, but it is what it is, you know? I just imagine The Rock going out there and just looking at Xavier Woods and saying, Xavier, The Rock heard you like to play a trombone. Well, The Rock's got news for you, Xavier. The Rock wants you to take the trombone, shine it up real nice, turn that son of a bitch sideways, and stick it straight up. You can in the ass, you know what I'm saying? That's how that would go down. But now that we got that out of the way, let's talk a bit about the TNA roster. We're going to just do it in alphabetical order. I mean, typically I go through the champions first, but I think it's going to be more fun doing it in ABC order. Hangman Adam Page, number one, motherfuckers. Hangman Adam Page. The fact that Hangman Adam Page did not win the match against Kenny Omega just means that Hangman Adam Page has done virtually nothing this entire year. He's done nothing. I mean, he was he was primed to get a push of some sort, you know, after like pretty much winning the tag team titles by himself against the Young Bucks, and, you know, being really good in that feud and generally during that time period. He hasn't really, like, taken that into anything, right? He's exactly where he was when the company first started. He's the almost there guy. Except here's the difference. When you don't move upwards in wrestling, you either stagnate or move downwards, right? Him, I guess he's stagnated, which is not the worst thing. You always move downwards. But the problem with that is this, motherfucks. I don't see this guy ever climbing out of this, you know? I could see him having, like, a TNT title run or whatever, you know? But I don't really see this guy as the champion anymore, you know? He was positioned as, like, a main eventer in the beginning, right? And I get it. They didn't have that many people. And, you know, he was one of the young stars or whatever, right? He actually would have benefited more, in my opinion, if he went to NXT, you know? I think, we thought different things when AEW first started, but now I think he would have been better off in NXT because he lost his feud and he has no direction whatsoever. Like, his entire identity now is just the Marty Jannetty of the Adam Page and Kenny Omega tag team, you know what I mean? That's what he's always going to be now, in my opinion, you know? I mean, things can change, of course, but I don't think they will because they keep signing new people, like former WWE guys, that are just taking his spot, you know? He doesn't get enough TV time. He sucks, motherfuckers, is the point I'm trying to make. He sucks ass. Adam Page sucks. Then we have Alan Angels, also known as the number 5 of the Dark Order. I mean, I don't have to say anything about this guy. He's a member of the Dark Order who wears a lucha mask, but his name is Alan Angels. I don't see, like, any personality in his stupid face. He looks like Sami Zayn when he was El Generico. I don't like it at all. Then we have Alex Reynolds, motherfucks, of the Dark Order. I mean, clearly John Silver is the better guy here. This guy's got generic douchebag written all over him. I mean, he's just another long-haired loser. You know what I mean? He looks like one of those two guys that's always on NXT. What are they called? Everlast or whatever the name? Not Everlast. Whatever, Everrise. You know, those two jobbers. He looks like one of those guys. He looks like he belongs there. So he's got nothing going for him. Angelico of the Hybrid 2. I mean, this guy looks like Chris Sabin except taller. He's just weird. Like, I don't think there's anything good about him or Jack Evans anymore, to be honest. Like, I always say that the Hybrid 2 are very similar to other AEW tag teams, but that's not a good thing, motherfuckers. That's a negative, you know? But anything can happen in AEW tag team scene, right? Like, before you know it, him and Jack Evans might be the best tag team in the world, according to JR, you know? But insofar as this last year and a half or so, or whatever, let's say 2 years if you start counting from, like, the inception of the concept of AEW, he's done absolutely nothing. No one cares. Then we have the 5-tool player of the Acclaimed. There's apparently a group called the Acclaimed, and there's a guy called the 5-tool player, and his name is Anthony Bowens. I've never heard of this guy in my life. Maybe he wrestles on, like, the pre-show of AEW Dark or something. I've never heard of him. I don't want to hear of him. He looks like David Otunga a little bit, and we all know how that went. Then we have Austin Gunn, who's the kid of Billy Gunn. Austin Gunn, I give the kid some props. You know, in every AEW Dynamite, he's out there in the front row with Billy Gunn, and he's clearly the one that stands out from all the fans, quote unquote, that are cheering or booing, right? He's clearly taking it seriously, and I appreciate that. I respect people that, if they're given shit, they make the most out of it, and he's been given shit and has made the most out of it. He's got a really good record, 12-1. So obviously compared to other people, I'm sure he's better, right? Is he going to be Billy Gunn? Is he going to be that good? Probably not, because he's about 1.5 feet shorter, you know? And his finishing move is like, do you guys remember that hip toss that Billy Gunn would do? It was like a hip toss into a neck breaker. That's this guy's finisher. It's called the quick draw, motherfuckers. So I don't hate the kid though. I don't hate the kid. You know, he's not bad. Then we have the exerted one, Brody Lee of the Dark Order. I mean, I think it's time that we all accept the reality that the Dark Order, but more specifically than the Dark Order, because the Dark Order can still be salvaged. We can all accept the reality that Brody Lee, Mr. Brody Lee, has been an abject failure. This has failed on every capacity it could possibly fail in. Not only has it failed, but it has proven beyond reasonable doubt that Vince McMahon was right to limit this guy's quote-unquote creativity. You know, because that's the problem. I've been saying this for a while now, but that's the problem. All these motherfucks have this like inflated ego, right? Like, they've watched wrestling a couple of times. You know, they've been through like 5 or 6 barbed wire matches in like Death Japan Wrestling or whatever, right? And all of a sudden they think they understand like storytelling and these other elements, right? I watched The Undertaker's interview with Stone Cold last night after Survivor Series, and I saw Undertaker and Stone Cold discussing wrestling and like storytelling, right? In the context of Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. And I highly doubt that people like Brody Lee have any idea what the fuck Undertaker was talking about. You know what I'm saying? These are old school dudes that really get it. Brody Lee thinks it's compelling to brand himself as a guy who collects things. You know what I'm saying? Here you go, motherfucker. Here's some creative freedom. Oh, you're going to pretend to be Vince McMahon and do absolutely nothing. Nothing interesting whatsoever. Like, I bet you that the Brody Lee segments would be the lowest rated segments of the show if it weren't for the fact that he's wrestling people like Kenny Omega and Cookie Rhodes, who people for some reason tend to like. Brody Lee sucks. He proves once and for all that he should have been released way before. Anyone that's watching AEW, I don't care what they say. They know, you all know deep inside, that Luke Harper is a much more interesting character than Mr. Brody Lee. Mr. Brody Lee has just come out. He's just been an abusive, like cult leader. He's basically the abusive leader of a stable, right? We've seen this a dozen times, right? This has, I want to be Undertaker Dark Ministry written all over it, except instead of people like Farouk and Bradshaw, you have a fat fuck called Evil Uno, and then a balding loser, Stu. Don't call him Dick Grayson. That's JR always like to say for some fucking reason. Like that should have gone in my JR like video, you know? The whole Stu, don't call him Dick Grayson, which is like such a smart thing to say, you know? It's basically there so like the fat smarks that watch that read comic books, you know, and also watch wrestling can be like, huh, JR's just like me. He's fat and likes Robin, you know what I'm saying? That kind of horseshit, right? Then we have Brandon Cutler. Enough said. Nothing's changed about this guy. Nothing needs to change about this guy. He's a simple guy who's a jobber. I mean, I get it. He's a jobber. He's a friend. He's a pity hire, you know, nepotism incarnate. It is what it is. I don't hate him anymore. I mean, he's never going to be relevant, obviously. Like, he hasn't been on TV in like 2 years. So it is what it is, right? I got nothing to say about that. Then we have Brian Cage of FTW. Apparently FTW is now like the name of the stable according to the roster page, you know what I mean? Brian Cage, I mean, this guy's got a lot of things that should make him a star. However, he's being treated like a piece of shit. You know, he's being like booked like he's a piece of shit. I don't understand. You know, I get that they want to do a hierarchy, and Brian Cage is obviously like, you know, like more of a mid-carder than he is a main eventer. Like, I understand that, but the problem I have with that motherfucks is that you have people like Cookie Rhodes and Kenny Omega, and it's really, really hard in AEW to rise to like the level of main eventer, right? It's nearly impossible, right? Unless you're one of the executive vice presidents, you're probably not going to main event a pay-per-view. The only way to do it is either you're one of the executive vice presidents or you're a WWE guy. Cage is neither of those two, and that's why he's a mid-carder, motherfucks, and he will be a mid-carder until like someone dies or someone gets like once Kenny Omega has his title run, once Cody Rhodes finds his way to become world champion somehow, right, then it's going to be time for this company to actually start being a company and not like fantasybooking.com for these cucks. And that's the problem. It's like these people are like, oh, Cody Rhodes is like, oh, I should be booked to beat Triple H at WrestleMania, so I'm going to make myself the main eventer here. You know what I mean? It's that kind of horseshit. It's like, dude, no, you shouldn't. Like, Triple H is better than you in every way, in every capacity. He's like manlier. He's better looking. He's better in like in every way. He's stronger. He's tougher. He's smarter. He doesn't have a lisp. You know, he's just better. He has a better finisher. He's got a better wife. He's better in every way, shape, or form. And Cookie Rhodes just can't get past that. He can't get past the fact that, like, his family, quote unquote, is not one of the royal families of wrestling. Wrestling has more than one royal family. Why? Because your dad was good and his sons are mediocre? Get the fuck out of here with that horse shit. Next up, we have Cash Wheeler, motherfucks. Cash Wheeler of FTR. So first we had Brian Cage of FTW. Then we have Cash Wheeler of FTR. You know, they need to work on these names. Let me take a sip of my coffee real fast, motherfucks. That was good coffee. Espresso, bitches. Cash Wheeler. I mean, like I've spoken about these guys quite at length. I don't feel like they've been here long enough to kind of like merit like a re-mention in the roster review, but here we are, cucks. And what I'm going to say about them is this. Cash Wheeler and the other one, who I'm sure is going to be like up next at some point, right? Maybe next, because we're at season, and the other one's like Dax Harwood, right? So Cash Wheeler, and fuck it, I'll just use Dax Harwood here. They're jobbers, right? They have really like nothing going on for them, right? Like JR can keep saying how they're like the best tag team in the world, but the reality is this. Any WWE tag team, even the ones that I make fun of, right? Even the ones I make fun of could go to AEW, and if given 30 minutes to have like a 5-star match, they could do it too. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing, right? It's like I shit on Kofi Kingston all the time, right? But Kofi Kingston is better than Dax Harwood. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not good, but he's better than Dax Harwood. Everyone's better than Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, right? So that's kind of the point I'm trying to make here, right? But if you were to take, I don't know, the Usos, right? The Usos, who I consider to be like a mediocre average tag team, right? But they're not horrible, right? The Usos are not horrible. I mean, they're two-move jobbers, of course, but it is what it is, right? Like, the Usos can have a much better match, I think, against the Young Bucks than FTR. That's probably really the dream match that they were going for. Like, because if you look, you know, historically, the last few years in WWE, it's been pretty much the New Day and the Usos are the two tag teams that have pretty much buried the tag team division, let's be honest, right? The tag team division hasn't been interesting in years, right? Now it's Street Profits and the New Day and the Usos when they come back as a tag team. They're the ones that have been keeping it interesting, right? Here and there we've had teams like The Bar and things like that have been like kind of like quasi-relevant, but the Usos have held it down. So, and it hasn't been FTR. The Usos and the New Day have been like multiple-time tag team champions. FTR has gotten the titles here and there once in a while when there's time for them. Let's be real, motherfucks. The Usos get beat the shit out of FTR like every week. So the Usos would have been a better choice. Of course, the Usos don't have to go to AEW because they're actually over and people like them. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, right? So Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood, two jobbers, right? When they went to AEW, they had that quote-unquote gimmick change, kind of, in the sense that like they went from being these two like, say yeah, like, you know, tough country boys, and now they're like kind of two tough country boys, except they've gained about 15 pounds each, and also now they wear suits. You know what I'm saying? They wear this flashy clothing, like Cash Wheeler looks like every singer in Nashville, Tennessee that's trying to make it. You know what I'm saying? He's got the shitty boots, the bedazzled pants, and he walks around and expects to be taken seriously. I've been to Nashville a couple of times, love the place, motherfucks, and I'll tell you this, he looks like every other guy that's out there trying to be the next Jason Aldean or some shit. And Dax Harwood, I mean, that guy is just, he is the Carl Anderson. He is the Carl Anderson of FTR. Like, he is as bland as they come, let's be real. Next, we have the demo god, Chris Jericho. I can't believe I'm saying this, motherfucks. This has been one of the worst years in the career of Chris Jericho. Let's see. He has been booked in a way where not only is he not winning, but he's not correctly putting people over, right? It's not working. You know, Orange Cassidy beating Jericho does not give Orange Cassidy, quote unquote, a rub. Because then afterwards, Orange Cassidy has to go and lose to Cucky Rhodes. You know what I'm saying? He has to go and or have a tie or some shit like that, or go wrestle John Silver in some meaningless match, you know? So Jericho, his recent run has meant absolutely nothing. The Inner Circle has been atrocious ever since Jericho lost the title. The title that Jericho had gave them a semblance of a meaning. Then at some point it was supposed to be Jericho and Hager were going to go after the tag team titles, which, I mean, it should be Santana and Ortiz, but it is what it is, right? At least there's like a storyline. Since then, it's just been Jericho having mimosa matches, getting cucked by like these jabron wrestlers, right? And now MJF and Wardlow have joined it, which doesn't make it any better, right? Hopefully, like, something happens with the Inner Circle, and hopefully something happens with Jericho. You know, I know for a fact that Jericho is going to eventually go back to WWE, right? And this will be seen as like an embarrassing part of his career, right? I understand that he's getting some credit for it, you know, and credit was due like last year because he was out there like trying to put a company over basically, right? The reality is he wasn't able to, right? I know that if you were to ask the average AEW fan, like 1 week before AEW Dynamite debuted, they would probably think, oh, AEW will draw millions by year 2. They'll be competing with Raw. No, motherfuckers, they won't be. They'll barely be scraping by on Wednesday nights. So it is what it is. Jericho, I can't hold that against him. Like, no one person can put over a company. Sure as shit, it can't be Jericho. But, you know, it is what it is, right? Jericho's still Jericho. He's obviously the best guy that AEW has. But it is what it is. Next up, we have Christopher Daniels, who I don't think I've seen on TV this entire year. I don't think I've seen this guy on TV one time this entire year. Maybe again when like the Exerted one decided to debut. He was around then, but that's it. Christopher Daniels, I mean, this guy is ageless. I've always liked Christopher Daniels, one of my favorites in TNA. So now that he's in AEW, I don't hate him. I don't like SCU. I don't like how Scorpio Sky is clearly the one that they've chosen. I understand he's the youngest one, but first of all, he's bald. Like, he's balding, you know what I'm saying? Like he's might be the youngest one, but he's not like this virile young man or anything like that. He's like in his mid-30s probably, right? I'd rather give the ball to Chris Daniels, who at least I know can cut a promo and is charismatic. But it is what it is. I'd like to see more of Chris Daniels. I like the kid. Then we have the Kentucky gentleman, Chuck Taylor of the Best Friends. I like Chuck Taylor. I mean, I prefer Trent personally, but I like Chuck Taylor. Chuck Taylor needs to like kind of lose some weight, you know, but I like him. I like the way he wrestles. I like his finishing move, the awful waffle, also known as the Omega Driver. I think it's great. One of the best finishers in AEW. I kind of enjoy the Best Friends. Like, they're starting to grow on me, right? Only because, like I said before, they make fun of like the one of the main wrestling tropes, which is that, you know, tag team wrestlers have to be best friends for some reason, right? But it's good, you know? It's legit. Like, if they turn on each other, that would actually be compelling. I'd want to see who comes out on top, right? Then we have the Executive Vice President, Cucky Rhodes, the American Nightmare. I mean, just look at that. The American Nightmare, right? His father was the American Dream. Oh, I don't want to be associated with my father. I'll be the American Nightmare. Shut the fuck up. Why don't you put on some polka dots and dance around after gaining like 200 pounds, you fat fuck? You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to see Cody Rhodes. I'm fucking sick of this guy, man. Like, when is this guy going to understand that he'll never be a star? You know, just accept the fucking truth, man. Like, nobody's had more chances than Cucky Rhodes. You know, and I will give credit where it's due. And some of the gimmicks that he's been given were shit, and he made them work to a degree in WWE. Now he has no gimmick. Now his gimmick is, I think I'm better than I am. Like that's the only way you can describe his gimmick. I think I am better than I actually am. So he can kiss my ass as far as I'm concerned. Boom, boom, Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana has been an embarrassment his entire career. Colt Cabana will never be over. He will never be mainstream. He's not good enough in any capacity, right? Now, I don't hate the kid, you know, but as soon as I saw him in SmackDown, when he was Scotty Golden, remember Scotty Golden, motherfuckers? I'm like, this guy is a jobber. This guy will never make it. He's a friend, he used to be a friend of CM Punk's. CM Punk sucks too. This guy sucks. It's not clever. It's not funny. And the picture that he has on AllEliteWrestling.com is him doing the soy boy cuck face, which is definitely a phenomenon that I've noticed. Then we have Darby Allin, who honestly should be one of the goth kids in South Park. He is one of the goth kids in South Park. If you watch some of the old episodes of South Park where they have the goth kids, you'll see that like the song that plays in the background sometimes with the goth kids is very similar to Darby's entrance music. Also, I'm sick and tired of these bullshit, JR being like, oh, we have another mysterious promo from Darby Allin, and it's him like burning a mask or some horseshit like that. Stick to your horseshit, Darby Allin. Nobody wants to see this garbage. Oh, I'm gonna skateboard to the ring. Get the fuck out of here. You know, the only good thing about him is that he's a TNT champion, which means he broke the glass ceiling, right? He is the first guy, like I said, that's not an AEW executive VP and who is also not a former WWE guy to have a modicum of success here, right? You might add MJF to the list, but it's probably Darby Allin. He's obviously the number one guy that doesn't fit into those categories, so I give him props for that. I've always said he's interesting. He stands out in certain ways. A lot of people compare him to Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy is like a million times better than him for a variety of reasons. Number one, first of all, Jeff Hardy is a legend. He's been around for a long time, multiple-time WWE champion, consistently been over with the fans, one of the most popular wrestlers ever, and more importantly, I hate to say it because, this is not really an attribute that you want to have, but Jeff Hardy is real. He's the fucking real deal, motherfuckers. Like, he has this, I have pain inside me, I'm a tortured soul, and every couple of years, he gets he's like in rehab or some shit, right? So he lives that life, you know what I'm saying? Jeff Hardy is about that life, whereas Darby Allin, it just seems like a poser, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Next up, we have Dax Harwood. Enough said. We spoke about this motherfucker earlier. Dustin Rhodes, motherfuckers, Dustin Rhodes. I think at this point, the entire point of Dustin Rhodes, the only thing that can keep this guy really relevant ever again is just him going on a variety of I'm going to retire angles. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much all that's left for Dustin Rhodes, and that's fine because he's an older guy. He's been around forever. I will say that he looks better than I think he ever has. Right? It's good that he shed the Goldust gimmick a little bit because he's like a serious dude. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not a pussy. He's like a big, strong guy, even though he's old. Right now, he's got the sleeve tattoos. There's something there. There always was. You know what I mean? The Goldust gimmick is just an example of him just doing really good with a gimmick, so they just left it on him, right? But Goldust has always been legit. Goldust, like there's a reason why he was a multiple-time Intercontinental champion, right? And also why he was such a big deal back in the early 90s. You know what I'm saying? He was like wrestling Undertaker and shit, on pay-per-views. So he's legit. I like Goldust. Then we have the Mad King, Eddie Kingston. Enough said. I think he's had his 15 minutes of fame. Now he can go team up with Butcher and Blade and become jobbers. There's nothing there. Let's be real. Right? His match with Dean Ambrose was just a throwaway match. Should never have been a pay-per-view. But whatever. Evil Uno, I spoke about him a little bit earlier. I don't hate the guy. I think he makes a better leader than Brody Lee, to be honest. But he is fat, and he is a luchador for some reason. Even though the stable is a cult, they have a bunch of luchadors in there. I don't like it, you know what I'm saying? Then we have Frankie Kazarian with hair. Frankie Kazarian, motherfuckers. Frankie Kazarian, he's a solid hand. Frankie Kazarian was one of the first wrestlers that I saw in TNA. The first TNA match I saw was some sort of battle royal gauntlet match type of shit. And the last two people left were Frankie Kazarian and Hector Garza, I think, who's the uncle of Angel Garza. They were the last two guys, but Frankie Kazarian was the first guy to come in. And Angel Garza won. So since then, I've liked Frankie Kazarian. But, he never really had an opportunity to be a main eventer. I always thought he was underrated, but he was always not the first guy in his team, right? He was always secondary to Daniels. He was always secondary to AJ Styles or Bobby Roode or James Storm, right? He was never like the guy. So, it is what it is. He has a good fit. He's a good fit for AEW. He's what every AEW wrestler should be. And in reality, what every AEW wrestler is. A guy that just wasn't good enough to be in WWE. Then we have Isaiah Cassidy of Private Party, also known as Montez Ford. This guy and the other guy from Private Party are the exact same thing as the Street Profits. This is ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. This shouldn't be over. They're not interesting. They're not fun. Just like the Street Profits aren't fun or interesting, neither are these guys. At least Montez Ford, he'll rattle off 15 to 20 jokes every promo, and once in a while, one of them or two of them at most might be funny, But this guy has nothing really going for him. The Private Party has been booked as a jobber tag team for their entire run. So who cares? It doesn't matter. Jack Evans, this guy, he's like the Kofi Kingston of AEW in the sense that every match he'll have 6 to 8 botches, on average 6 to 8 or so botches per match. Jack Evans. The only difference between him and Kofi is that he never wrestles on TV, so you never see this shit. Jake Hager, this proves once again that WWE is not holding anyone back. This proves once again that Jake Hager was given more opportunity than he deserved in WWE. And the reality is that Jake Hager is a guy with zero personality. He has no personality. I understand that's kind of his thing now, where he's supposed to be this like stoic badass, but there's a reason why they gave him that gimmick. And the reason is because he has no personality in real life. You know, WWE did some great things with him. First of all, they gave him that goofy ass, like all-American gimmick, which I thought was great. Then they gave him the real American gimmick with Zeb Coulter, which was fucking awesome, right? He's had more chances than he deserves. Let's be real, right? And now he's exactly where he should be. Being a jobber on AEW and having no personality. Jake Hager sucks. I'm sorry to say it. I used to like him for a while. Now he's shit. The bad boy Joey Janela hasn't been on TV for about a year and a half. This guy was supposed to be a big deal. He was out there wrestling Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley, and now he's like teaming with Sonny Kiss, I think. Nobody really gives a shit about Joey Janela. There's a reason why he's booked the way he is, and that's because he's a fat jobber who's about 5'5", and he's never going to be over. He's never going to be interesting. The height of his career was when he and Enzo almost got into a fight in like some bullshit concert, right? And Enzo is actually fucking awesome. And anyone that hates Enzo can suck as far as I'm concerned. Enzo Amore is fucking great. You know what I'm saying? Go online and look at like, it's like video on YouTube. It's like Enzo Amore's greatest burns or something like that. It's fucking great. Then we have John Silver, obviously the standout of Dark Order. The only guy in Dark Order that actually deserves more than he has. The only guy. Everyone else is inferior. You know, John Silver, I like him a lot. He is exactly what happens when you work hard, even if you don't have the genetic gifts that are required for a sport. He's like the Earl Boykins of wrestling, you know what I'm saying? Look him up, motherfuckers. Then we have AEW World Champion Jon Moxley. I mean, I know I said about Brody Lee that this proves that there's no need for creative control, but I think the better example of that is Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley is a fucking loser. I fucking hate this guy now. For a long time, I thought he was just average to below average. Now, I actually dislike him actively. And the reason I dislike him actively is because he is a piece of shit. He, on one hand, he like gets mad that Brock Lesnar doesn't want to work with him. Brock Lesnar isn't showing up for the dates, all these other things. He actually compares himself to Brock Lesnar. Like Brock Lesnar could piss on this guy and his life would end. You know what I'm saying? Brock Lesnar is a real star, motherfucks, right? And Brock Lesnar doing that is something that I don't really like either, but at least it's Brock Lesnar, right? Jon Moxley does the same exact thing. He shows up every like 15 weeks on Dynamite, right? And all he does is complain and put himself over. Like, he has no gimmick. It's the same shit as fucking Dean Ambrose. I don't want to hear this like, oh, I don't like Dean Ambrose, but I love Jon Moxley. Do ya? Do you really? Because he's a piece of shit. That's what I think, motherfuckers. He's a piece of shit. He sucks. He's put no one over. He's done nothing good for this company. The company hasn't made a dime off of him. He doesn't draw any money. He's like the lowest drawing champion, I think, of all time in WWE. He is not good. He just is not good. It's as simple as that, right? In the ring, he has his moments, you know, like some of his matches, like the Eddie Kingston match, was all right. You know what I'm saying? But the reality is what the reality is. Jon Moxley was treated more correctly in WWE than he has been now, right? Now, he shows up every 15 weeks, and you have to hear how Excalibur says, I think he's the #1 wrestler in the world. Why would you say that about Brock Lesnar, right? Brock Lesnar's out there beating everyone, right? Beating actual wrestlers, not Eddie Kingston. You know what I'm saying? Not some fat guy who never had a chance in 20 years. He's beating actual wrestlers, right? Once every 15 weeks, and then nobody says Brock Lesnar is the best wrestler in the world, right? He's a better wrestler objectively than Dean Ambrose, right? Dean Ambrose, all he did was this. He quit WWE because WWE understood that he is the Marty Jannetty of the Shield, and now it's time to use him to put over Nia Jax, right? And he's like, I don't want to do this, right? So he left. He took his ball and went home. And home for him is, I'm going to go be the #1 guy in the #2 company, but #2 by a big margin, motherfuckers. They're nowhere close. Right, I'm going to be the #1 guy in the #2 company, and I'm going to do exactly the same things that I did not like Brock Lesnar doing, right? I'm going to do the same things. I'm going to put no one over, right? I'm going to like just show up whenever the fuck I feel like it, and I'm going to just hold back other wrestlers. Let's be real, Jon Moxley sucks ass. That's what I got to say about him. He can kiss my ass too. Jungle Boy, haven't seen him for a couple of weeks. Jungle Boy, it's not really fair to say anything bad about Jungle Boy just because Jungle Boy is someone that, like, he's going to need a few years. You know, he's going to need a few years to like, get there, right? He would make a good, like, light heavyweight champion or whatever, like, cruiserweight champion for AEW, like, as a first one. He's interesting in the fact that he, like, has a gimmick, I guess, but it's a shit gimmick. But he's the son of, like, Luke Perry or whatever his name is. And, like, he doesn't, I think it's Luke Perry, I don't know. one of those guys. And like, he doesn't use that really, so I admire him for that. He's not horrible in the ring considering he's like a young novice, but you know, Jungle Boy, he needs to like shed that Jungle Boy gimmick, you know. But they don't give him enough TV time to develop at all, so what the fuck's the point, you know? Then we have the executive VP, Kenny Omega, the cleaner, right? First of all, let's also reiterate that his new entrance, like his new entrance song, I think fits him pretty well. I think it's the one he had in New Japan, I'm not sure though. But the two girls that come out dancing are fucking goofy as shit. First of all, they can't dance for shit. They're not good at their job. Fire them immediately. Second of all, it's cringy as fuck. It's two people with brooms. I understand it's supposed to be tongue-in-cheek, but now he's being presented as a serious guy. So having this goofy-ass shit before doesn't make any sense, you know? It is what it is. Kenny Omega, I mean, his singles record has been 7-0, so obviously he's on the rise. I am excited about his match with Jon Moxley, only because I want Jon Moxley to lose, you know? I don't like Moxley. So there you go, motherfuckers. Then we have super bad Kip Sabian. Kip Sabian should be released immediately. Kip Sabian shouldn't be a wrestler. Kip Sabian shouldn't be on TV. Kip Sabian shouldn't have any job where he has to speak or be entertaining. He is not entertaining. He sucks ass. The only thing good that can happen from Kip Sabian is Miro can use him just to like put himself over a bit and turn face. That's the only purpose this guy has in this shit company. Then we have the Murder Hawk monster, Lance Archer. His picture looks like shit. I don't like it at all. It accentuates his goofiness. This guy's like 50 years old almost, right? He's never been like anything more than a velocity jobber in WWE. He was nothing more than a tag jobber in New Japan, and now he's a big deal here. Yeah, I don't have anything to say about him. He's better than most of these guys, so it is what it is. But let's be real, he's not doing anything. So I put him in the Brian Cage, Brody Lee category. So, oh look, it's a big deal guy that we signed. Oh look, he's jobbing to Darby Allin. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of horseshit. Then we have Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus, this guy sucks. I used to think he was good, but now I think he's shit. Because a few weeks ago, he was like moderating some debate, or he had a question for like, what's his face, MJF, right? And he was like, I have a PhD or a master's. And I'm like, dude, either you have a PhD or a master's, or you're a dinosaur. Either you're a guy who's educated, or you're retarded. Pick one, dude. Pick one. You can't be both. You can't be a guy with a PhD or a master's, and also be a guy who dresses up as a dinosaur. That doesn't make any sense. So as far as I'm concerned, you can kiss my ass. Then we have Luther, the greatest rival in Jericho's career, they would have you believe. A match 30 years in the making. Jericho versus Luther, a guy that no one ever heard of before, ever, right? Enough said about him. Nothing interesting here. He's like another 50-year-old. Who cares? Broken Matt Hardy. Next, Matt Hardy's been an abject failure. He arguably has been the biggest failure in this company that came from WWE. Arguably. His match with Sammy Guevara is going to make him look like he's a big deal, but let's be real. Now, going on to the next WWE jobber that they brought over, the best man, Miro. We haven't seen anything of him, but what we have seen is shit. You know, we've seen this guy talk about video games and his Twitch channel and hang out with Kip Sabian. 3 things that I think make him objectively worse than he ever was in WWE. I believe that Rusev's cuck gimmick was better than this gimmick. There you go. MJF, bootleg Miz with none of the talent, none of the charisma, none of anything. MJF is exactly what happens when you think you're good at a promo and people tell you you are. You don't become good at promos, you're shit. And people tell you that you're good because, let's be real, maybe you are good compared to like, I don't know, Darby Allin, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe you're good compared to like fucking Ricky Starks, you know, but you're not good compared to anyone of value, right? So MJF, he sucks. He's been shit lately. I don't care that he's in the inner circle. Couldn't give a flying fuck. Then we have Marco Stunt. Mercifully, we haven't seen this guy on TV in years. You know, Marco Stunt, he is what he is. I give him props. You know, he's a very, very small guy. He doesn't have the build to even be like a John Silver. So I give him props for what he is, you know. Should he be like out there wrestling? Sure. You know what I'm saying? Make him like a cruiserweight. He can have like a hornswoggle type position, you know. So I actually don't hate him. You know? Mark Quinn. He's the Angelo Dawkins by virtue of being the bigger guy of Private Party, so therefore he sucks ass. Then we have Matt Jackson, motherfuckers. Matt Jackson. Let's talk about the Young Bucks, I guess. Young Bucks, this has been their year, quote unquote, but they're still shit. You know what I'm saying? They're still shit. They have like 5 or 6 moves they do in every match, and that's about it. In the end, they either hit the Meltzer driver or they don't hit the Meltzer driver, and that's how that ends typically. They won the championship with a super kick, which I thought was embarrassing, but it was what it was. Then we have Matt Sydal. I don't know why it's pronounced Seidel. It's obviously Seidel, but it is what it is, motherfuckers. Matt Sydal, who will forever be known now as the guy who came out and botched his first move in the company's history, or in his history in the company, I should say. Now, that is what it is. That can be forgiven, but he had the Joker wild card or whatever, right? Also another WWE guy. He had the Joker wild or whatever. He drew the Joker card in the Battle Royal. So, like, clearly it seemed like they had something planned for him in the sense that he was going to be, like, kind of a big deal, right? But he came out, botched, and now I think he's on AEW Dark, where he's 6-3. Who the fuck cares? Nothing's going to happen. Then we have Max Caster. Platinum Max Caster of the Acclaimed. I don't know what the Acclaimed is. This guy looks exactly like the other guy. Maybe they're brothers. Max Caster. That sounds like a guy who plays Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, I'm going to cast a spell, are you? You little shit. Michael Nakazawa, mercifully, he hasn't been on TV, so who gives a fuck? I don't know anything about him. I've only seen him put oil on himself like once on Dynamite, and that's all I know of him, so who the fuck cares? Then we have Nick Jackson. We talked about him. Orange Cassidy. All right. Orange Cassidy is better than I initially thought, in the sense that Orange Cassidy can have a solid match. Like, he's athletic enough, but he looks like shit. And he is a perfect example of the argument that the neckbeards make, right? Which is like, you don't have to be a big guy to be good. Yeah, you do, motherfuckers. And here's the counter argument. Why can't you just be a big guy? You know? Like, again, no one said be The Rock. But you can be John Silver, right? Why don't you become John Silver? Why don't you go to the gym? Orange Cassidy, you little shit. You know what I'm saying? Then we have Ortiz of the Inner Circle. Obviously, the worst guy in the Inner Circle is Ortiz. This guy has 0 written all over him, you know? To be honest, by the time that he and the other guy, Santana, debuted in TNA, right? I kind of stopped watching TNA, right? So I don't know him or Santana as LAX. So I've never seen anything impressive from these guys. The original LAX, Homicide and Hernandez, I thought was fucking awesome. I thought they're like one of the best tag teams of all time, actually. You know? But the reality is that this guy and the other guy did not, fill the shoes. Obviously, they couldn't, because one of them is Hernandez, who is a beast and an awesome wrestler. And Homicide ain't that bad either, you know what I'm saying? So Ortiz sucks ass. This guy, he just sucks. There's nothing to say about him. The bastard Pac. Pac is now aligned with the Lucha Bros. Death Triangle is back. Oh, yeah. I would have much rather have seen Pac have this whole, like, I'm an isolated loner gimmick. You know? I'm isolated. You know, now I'm crazy. Not I'm isolated, but now I'm back to being whoever I was. What was the point of that whole promo? They had something there, I thought. But it is what it is. He's now with Penta L0M, who is also, the next guy on our list. Pentagon, as far as luchadors go, he's one of the better ones. Let's be real, right? I think he's better than Rey Fenix. He's entertaining in many ways. Like, he has good moves. And he's not a small guy, right? He's like a guy that can believably do power moves, you know? He has, like, the package pile driver. Like, he's got good moves, you know? Pentagon, I don't know. I don't hate him, you know? Do I think he's great? Absolutely not. Then we have the librarian, Peter Avalon, who I don't think has ever been on TV past the first few weeks, so I don't give a shit about him. Then we have Preston Vance, another luchador of the Dark Order, and I've said he's shit. QT Marshall. I mean, QT Marshall, like, you know, as far as the AEW jobbers go, he's one of the better ones, you know? Like, he's a guy that he does, like I think his finisher is now the RKO. The Diamond Cutter, which I think is pretty cool. You know what I mean? And that's kind of nice, you know? It was given to him, quote unquote, by DDP, which I think is like a nice little touch. He has a harmless tag team with Dustin Rhodes. So I don't really think there's anything wrong with QT Marshall, except for his name. He's not used as like a guy that wins matches, so I'm cool with him. You know, I don't have anything against him, right? Rey Fenix is basically Rey Mysterio, except not as good, obviously, right? Then we have Absolute Ricky Starks. They really need to start working on the nicknames of these guys. Absolute Ricky Starks. He's absolute what? Absolute shit? What is he, you know? Ricky Starks, luckily now he's been paired with Taz and Brian Cage, and therefore he doesn't have this, like, pretty boy gimmick, because, like I've said before, this guy is probably the last person that should have a pretty boy gimmick, considering that his face does not, he has, like, the face of The Rock, right? But, like, on the body of a guy that's much smaller. He has the face of, like, not the face of The Rock, but, like, that same, like, haircut and, like, the ears and everything. He looks like a goof. Then we have Sammy Guevara, who I don't know where he fits in now that MJF is part of the group, because I think MJF is going to take over the spot of like Sammy Guevara. Like he's going to be the best friend of Jericho and all this shit. Sammy Guevara, I think I can put him in the same category as Kip Sabian of guys who completely suck. Let's be real. Santana, he looks like Eddie Kingston. He's never done anything impressive in my opinion. I don't enjoy him. The only thing that LAX has done that was good was a street fight against the best friends. Then we have Shawn Spears, another WWE guy. He sucks, but like as usual, because he's not good and never has been, he's going to be on AEW Dark, right? He's going to be on the NXT version of AEW. So there you have it. We don't need to hear anything else about that. Then we have the Concrete Rose, Sunny Kiss. I don't know what Concrete Rose means. I don't know what gender pronouns Sunny Kiss uses. I don't give a shit about Sunny Kiss. That's what I gotta say about that. Sunny Kiss, at least he or she is different. It is what it is. Different is not bad. So, like, it's better than Kip Sabian, you know what I'm saying? Then we have Stu, don't call me Dick Grayson. I've already talked about him. He's shit. I don't like him at all. Then we have The Blade. The Blade has a good physique. The Butcher and The Blade are a tag team that can be interesting, right? If they started winning and not competing on AEW Dark, like they can be interesting. They're more interesting than all the other tag teams because they have at least like a unique look. But do you remember when they debuted, right? Attacking Cody Rhodes? People are like, who the fuck are these guys? They seem cool. All of a sudden, they're out there jobbing to like Private Party. You know what I'm saying? Who gives a fuck? So he sucks. Next up, we have The Butcher. He's better than The Blade. The Blade's not horrible. He's growing on me. You know, he's got a good physique. And he's not like a shitty wrestler. But I will say this about the Butcher and The Blade, or as we call him here, the Butch and Bottom, right? Their tag team finisher, I don't think they've ever done it correctly. Every time I see them do it, it's a botch. It's shit. Find a new move, cucks. Then we have Trent, of Best Friends. Trent, he is underrated. Trent deserves more than he currently has, in my opinion. Then we have Wardlow, another underrated motherfucker. Wardlow is great. Wardlow should be the guy that breaks off from the inner circle and becomes a face and starts winning matches, you know? This whole, like, MJF's boy gimmick is stupid. I don't like it. Then we have Will Hobbs, last and probably least. We have Will Hobbs. This guy hasn't done anything to be impressive yet. For some reason, they're really hot on this guy. I don't understand why, but it is what it is. Will Hobbs, there could be something there, but I think he's a jobber. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, I don't think he'll ever be anything special. So, but maybe now with FTW, he can like actually kind of like put himself over a bit. You know, it's possible, motherfuckers. It's possible. Now let's move on to the women really fast. We have the living dead girl Abaddon. Haven't seen enough of her to make my mind up. You know, at least she's different. I like that. We have Allie, complete failure of a wrestler. No need to be in this company. No need to be wrestling, but she is an attractive broad. Then we have Anna Jay, who also is, I thought she was attractive, but this picture makes it look like shit. You know? She's the Queen Slayer. I don't fucking know what that means. What does a Queen Slayer? Who is she slaying? You know? With her 4-3 record. Get the fuck out of here with that horseshit. Awesome Kong, we haven't seen her ever, but Awesome Kong is awesome. Awesome Kong is one of the best female wrestlers of all time. I love Awesome Kong. Big Swole started growing on me a little bit, but then we haven't seen her in weeks, so I don't give a shit. She can go to hell. Brandy Rhodes, complete nepotism. Brandy Rhodes brings nothing to the table except that she's an attractive woman, and that's it. She's never done anything in her life that's impressive other than be attractive, so I don't give a fuck. Britt Baker, I don't like her. Emi Sakura, haven't seen her. Her 2020 record is 0-0 because she hasn't been around this company for the entire year. Hikaru Shida, okay, at least they're building her up. Hikaru Shida is like the Trent Beretta of the women. Like, wrestles almost every week and has like a pretty good record, you know? So that's kind of cool. Chris Statlander, motherfuckers. Chris Statlander. I guess Chris Statlander has been wrestling on a fucking AEW Dark because I haven't seen this broad the entire year. So there you go. Leva Bates, who gives a shit. Mel, I didn't know she was still in the company. Who gives a fuck? Nyla Rose, abject failure. Nyla Rose has failed in every capacity. The bad girl Penelope Ford. I mean, pairing anyone up with Kip Sabian and now Miro is a death sentence. It's a career death sentence. Miro has never gotten anyone over. Kip Sabian will never do anything of worth in this business. So there you have it. Then we have Riho, who I also haven't seen this entire year, thank God. Serena Deeb. It's good to see Serena Deeb get a shot, but nothing special here, motherfucks. Then we have Portugal's favorite athlete, Shayna, whatever her name was. I didn't even know she was from Portugal. I thought she was from France. It is what it is. She sucks. Nobody cares. Then we have Tainara Conchi, or Tay Conti, as they say here. Tay Conti is cool. I like her, you know. Yuka Sakazaki, another Japanese broad that no one gives a fuck about. And there you have it, motherfuckers. There you have it. This has been your AEW roster review. Let me just count how many women wrestlers they had, because it seemed like I had like 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, motherfuckers, 19. All right, that's not actually that bad. A 19-person roster is not that bad. So being champion of that is like, it does have some you know, some gravitas, I guess. But I mean, not really, because we have people like, some of the people there are like Emi Sakura, who's never been on TV for the last year. So it is what it is. I don't give a flying fuck. You know, AEW still sucks ass. And there you have it, motherfuckers. Stay tuned. Maybe later today, I don't know when, but we're going to do a Survivor Series review, because boy, do I have a lot to say about that motherfucker. All right, bitches. See you guys later. Bitch.